the whole sort of supplier documentation management side of things is becoming more and more an issue within the BRC industry in particular. And what we find is that there's normally a big Excel matrix where you have all suppliers and all of the documentation that's required from the suppliers, and there's green and red cells and what you have and what you haven't got. But what it doesn't typically tell you is when things expire and give you pre-warning. It doesn't have automatic follow-ups, and it really is just a very flat matrix that allows you to keep a single point in time snapshot of what documentation you have for each supplier. But what we've actually tried to achieve is something much more automated, where suppliers can actually log in, provide the documents to you, you can verify the documents, and then if the documents are given an expiry date, then those expiry dates are managed properly with proper follow-up, so that you as an organization don't have to keep chasing suppliers. It's putting the responsibility on the supply chain that it's their responsibility to give you the documentation that you require of them. In terms of the common feedback that we've been receiving over the last number of years in terms of supplier documentation, these are just some of the comments that I'll mention. There is so much paperwork required when managing the suppliers. I spend ages transferring updates and actions onto Excel for tracking, so that the chasing aspect is always there. I'm constantly chasing to make sure all of the documents are up to date, which is a big one, because you may get all of the documents today, but in 6 months' time, some of those certificates, some of those requirements may have actually expired. You can't run I cannot run a simple report showing what needs to be done. There's no gap analysis telling me exactly who I need to chase and what I need to chase them for. This is an issue with Excel, is that it's difficult to get that information in real time out of it. One of the big things is I can't find the paperwork when my auditors are on site, in the sense of where is the paperwork. A supplier has, I've marked it on my Excel document that I have their BRC certificate, for example, but then I can't actually find it when the auditors are on site. Maybe it's been misplaced or put in a wrong supplier file. And the big issue is, which is driving a lot of this, is that we have to be way more prepared now as the audits are all going unannounced. And this is not just BRC, this is for customer feedback or customer audits. Could be any type of audit, external. Quite often now it's on an unannounced basis. So having the information and having that real-time visibility in terms of where your risk is at and what compliance documentations you have, or more importantly you don't have, then it's very, very important to get that information. So before I jump into the actual platform itself and show you around the supplier documentation section, just to give you a little bit of background on the BRC Manager itself, what we have here is the core module, which I'll be showing you today, is the Audit Manager module. And this is within our BRC Manager Auditing Edition. And this is where you can manage all of your suppliers. It also gives you the ability to do internal auditing. So you can create all of your templates. So those of you guys that were on the webinar last week looking at the ditching of the spreadsheet for the clipboard, then you'd be familiar with all of this, but it's just the ability to create all of those internal audits on a template and download them to a tablet device rather than using a clipboard. There is full automatic follow-ups for actions that are created within the actual platform. There are also a wide range of BRC self-assessments, so we've taken each one of the standards, regardless of what industry or what standard you're certified to, is that there are templates in there that you can actually run your own sort of BRC self-assessments using the tablet device. And then there's other quality management system features, such as managing all of your risk assessments, managing your corrective actions, managing your customer complaints, your product recalls. The typical QMS type features are all built in into that module as well. What supports that and what is really advantageous for our clients is the BRC Manager tablet app, and this is where sort of we remove the paperwork completely from the auditing process. This is where audits are completed on a tablet. We can create the corrective actions, we can assign corrective actions to people, we can capture photographs, and the important thing is that the app actually runs in an offline environment, so that when you are in a remote location and you may not have Wi-Fi, you can still do all of the audits and then sync them back into your online account when you're back in an online environment. Then there is the BRC Enterprise Edition. And the Enterprise Edition is the full compliance platform. This is where it's fully integrated with our Group Learner product. and this allows you to sort of manage all of your training matrices, manage all of your documents. There is an optional performance management module within that as well for doing performance management of hourly paid workforce. They don't have access to a PC, so it's doing performance management on a tablet very swiftly and easily, and capturing all of that. So that's just a picture of how the BRC Manager as a product actually sits together. So what I'm going to do now is take 10 or 15 minutes and show you the BRC Manager platform with a specific focus on the supplier control, which is the title of today's webinar. But what I'll also do is I'll show you some of the other features as well, so that you can see how the platform all sits together. And then I'm going to show you some screenshots of the tablet app. Unfortunately, I can't show you a live version of the tablet because it won't translate through the computer. But what I've done is I've captured some screenshots, and we'll be able to show all of that to you. So let me just take a second now and flick over to the actual platform itself and get logged in and show you the supplier control. Just go to demo accounts. I'm just going to jump into the BRC Manager Enterprise demo here for a second and just show you this one. So let me first show you with the site compliance meter, and this is an overall compliance meter for the entire site. So this works more focused on the corrective actions and the internal auditing side of things. Top left is showing me my corrective actions risk meter and the number of corrective actions that are outstanding. It shows me the outstanding corrective actions by assignee, so I can see who I need to chase on those. And then it also shows me the audit template summary when I did the audit templates, and the outstanding corrective actions table. So it's showing me the individual outstanding corrective actions and how long they've actually been outstanding. But what I'll do now is I'd like to jump straight forward and show you the supplier control section of the Audit Manager module, because that's why we're here today to take a look at it. So the whole concept around the supplier control is that when you set up your BRC Manager, we've set up a BRC Manager account for you, you would actually build up your list of all of your suppliers, and then once you've got the suppliers all detailed within the actual platform, then you can actually request certain documents to be uploaded from that supplier into the account, but it's the supplier that actually does it. The supplier will have their own login once you set them up in the directory section of the platform. If I click to directories, one of the options is suppliers. So what I would do is I would create the actual suppliers in here. So if I show my details for this particular supplier, once I've created this supplier and I've added in their email address, I've added in their first name and their last name, they will actually be emailed automatically their own login details for the platform, which will get them into just your platform. But it's only to see the sections that are relevant to them, which is typically the corrective actions that maybe have assigned to them, but also the documents that are required of that particular supplier. So if I come back to my Audit Manager and I just click back into supplier control, what I can see here now is this is my supplier list. Okay, so here's my supplier list. I can also see supplier corrective actions, and I can see the standard supplier requirements. And I'll come back to this when we're looking at assigning document requirements from a particular supplier. And the reason why we've got this is that what we find with our clients is that, for example, the likes of another organization's insurance certificate, that may be something that you require of everyone. So rather than entering it for every single person, what we've done is we have created a standard list, and you can add anything from the standard list into any supplier. What we've also done then as well is giving you the ability to see all of the corrective actions assigned across your entire supply chain. So what I can do first of all, if I look at my supplier list, I can come in now and say show me the details for this supplier company. And this is the personal details of the supplier at the top. I can see any corrective actions that may have been assigned to that particular supplier through an auditing process. So if you can visualize when you're running through an internal audit and you've come across an issue that you need to assign to a particular supplier, be it a pallet that is damaged, be it packaging that isn't correct, whatever the case may be, you can actually create a corrective action within the BRC Manager tablet app and assign it to a supplier that is listed within your account. You can assign it to anyone, like an employee, a contractor, or someone else that's listed in one of your directories. But for the purpose of this, let's assume you've assigned that corrective action to the supplier. What the platform does then is that it will send details of that corrective action to the supplier automatically, and it will show up in their list when they log in. And once they log in, they have to actually detail what their corrective action, the detail was. They have to do a root cause analysis on the actual corrective action as well, and then they can decide whether it's open or closed. At that stage, your supplier then can actually upload supporting documents as well to actually assign to prove that the corrective action has actually been closed. So this is where you can see all of the corrective actions, but then you've also got a section within the supplier called supplier requirements, and this is where you would manage all of their actual documentation requirements. So what I can see here now is I can add from the standard list, or I can add a new one. If I click on add new one, what this allows me to do then is just enter the details. So if I ask, for example, the insurance details, I can say that it's not a high risk, it's a medium risk. I can also, at this stage, just save that. And the document is created successfully. Now I can see within this supplier there is a document required of them called insurance details. If I added a requirement, for example, that it was a questionnaire, and we have some customers that are asking their supply chain to fill in like different types of questionnaires or whatever. So what you can do is you can create that questionnaire in Word. You can attach the document to the requirement itself in here, and then when that request is sent to the supplier, the document will be attached so that they will be able to actually complete it. So this is where I would add something very specific for a single supplier. If I wanted to add from a standard list, I would click on the standard list button, and then I could add in here, for example, like the HACCP plan. I need to see their HACCP plan. I also need to see their site risk assessment, and I'd also like to see their site flow diagram, and I can save all of those documentation. Now I can see all of those documents are required for this particular supplier. What the supplier does then is when they log in, for example, if they go to the BRC certificate, when they click into the platform, they only see these screens here. So they can actually log in and they can say, okay, the BRC certificate is the requirement. I have now completed that as a requirement. It's valid from X date, valid to Y date, which may be this time next year. Then I can upload the actual document itself. So I can browse for the BRC certificate and I can attach it to this. And then I can, when I save that update will be, for example, if I select from 1st of June to the 10th of September, save the updates. Document details are saved completed. Now I can see that the BRC certificate has been completed in this account. So what this allows me, it tells me the date that it was completed and now the date on which it's actually expired. So the system will now take over and start managing all of this and issue warnings and sort of preempting people within the supply chain and you as the customer to be able to keep on top of all of this. So that's how easy it is to actually create your suppliers and to assign them particular documents. So this is how you do that in the supplier list. The supplier corrective actions is a total view of all the corrective actions that has been assigned to your supply chain. So I can see the title, when the audit was done, who it was assigned to, when it was created, when it's been closed, and then I can click into the show details for that particular corrective action. So if I click into show details for this corrective action, then I can see the risk profile, I can see the root cause analysis, I can see those closed. If there was a supporting file in here, I can see the actual supporting file as well that would actually put that into the platform. So I've got all of this information sitting ready. And the whole idea of this is that the BRC Manager platform is centered around risk analysis, risk management, and compliance management, so that if you do get an unannounced audit and one of the things that your auditors are checking is your supply chain, you can actually go to the BRC Manager account, bring up any supplier, show all of the documentation that's been required from them. You'll be able to log in and get access to all of that documentation from a single management system without any paper and no filing cabinets involved in the entire process. The last section I'd like to show you here is just the standard supplier requirements, and this is where you would actually say, well, these are the requirements I'm going to add to everyone, and you can actually go in then to each supplier as you create them and manage and give access to to those sort of requirement documentation for every single manager. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an overview today of the supplier control. What I'd like to do actually is quickly, for those of you who haven't been on the other webinars, is to quickly explain what the other sections of the Audit Manager's platform does. Internal audit templates is where you would actually create all of your internal audit templates, and then you would sync those down to your tablet device for running in an offline environment. The audit schedule is where you would create and build up your entire audit schedule for the months ahead, so that you actually can keep on top of a structured auditing timetable and auditing calendar. You can see all of the corrective actions that has been created across your account. Now this is for everyone, this is not filtered by supplier, this is for absolutely everyone that's in the actual account. Supplier control we've already shown. Risk assessments is where you would create and manage and store all of your risk assessments. The same goes for flow diagrams. The likes of product withdrawals and recalls, you can actually capture all of those within the platform, as well as you can do customer complaints. Non-conformances is a section that is being updated as we speak, actually based on some feedback from one of our customers. And what this allows you to do is, in the case of a non-conformance report, if you do get an audit from a customer or a BRC auditor and you get a non-conformance report, you would record the non-conformance report here. But what you actually can do is, when you create the non-conformance report, you can actually assign and determine what auditor is actually responsible for this non-conformance report. Because you've selected an auditor, that auditor will also get a login to your platform, so that the auditor can actually log in and actually see those non-conformance reports as well as you mark them as complete. But the issue being, we found that our auditors are telling us, was if they had gone to a site and did the audit and created 5 non-conformance reports, following up on those 5 non-conformance reports sometimes is difficult to keep on top of that. So what we've done now is we've built the tool around where the auditor can actually log in and keep track of your progress against the closing off of non-conformances and non-conformance reports. What you've also got then is you've got various reports, and then you've also got your BRC self-assessments. So this is telling me all the different sections of the BRC food safety that has been started or not started, and has been completed. So this is all very, very powerful information to show your auditors when they're on site, to show that not only are you using a platform like this to manage all of your supplier control, you're doing everything using for auditing, and you've also used the platform to self-assess yourself against the standard. So that you're minimizing the whole risk of non-conformance reports in the first place, because you're doing your own internal auditing against that. The other section then, as I said earlier, this is the enterprise edition of BRC Manager. So you have a full learning manager section in here as well, which manages the full compliance matrix for the whole site. This is where you get rid of your entire Excel matrix. It's telling me my managers that are causing me the biggest issue in terms of the teams that are non-compliant. It's telling me the documents, and it's also telling me expiry details for particular courses. I can also look at the training plans and manage the matrix. I can build work groups. I can upload group learner courses and respond point courses using keypads. I can run various reports. For example, looking at the Learning Manager report, a very popular report is the Manager Matrix report. And if I look at one of these managers, for example, if I took Dominic East, show me the report for Dominic East, in a very short number of seconds, 2 or 3 seconds, I can see a full matrix for this guy, show me all the trainees that are employees that work for them, and all of their the training requirements. Obviously, this guy is in a very bad shape, so the information, there's a lot of it actually read on that particular report. Document Manager then is where you would manage all of your documents, and quite finally, mostly we find that 90% of the training requirements that are managed through Learning Manager module are actually documents or SOPs or working that have been created through the Document Manager. And this is where you would manage all of your documents live, archived. You would up-revise documents. The up-revision then would automatically update your matrix as well. And then you can look at also doing Performance Manager module, which is doing performance reviews for employees, particularly blue-collar and factory site type working employees where the performance review itself is done on the tablet device, where you can sit down with someone and actually go through a predefined set of questions and sort of performance areas that you'd like to address. So I can build up templates. For example, there could be like an 8-week review for new starters. There could be a 3-month review, things like this, and you can build all of those reports into that as well. So hopefully that has given you a bit of an overview of the actual platform. What I'd like to do now is just quickly jump back to the slideshow so that I can show you some of the screens from the tablet app. So this is more to do actually with the auditing side of the platform. In the app, what you can do is you can see your audit templates, your audit schedule, corrective actions, and BRC self-assessments. We can look at the different templates that you may have created on the platform, and you can download those to the app. I can create, once I launch one of those templates, I can see each statement in turn, and if I click that it's non-compliant, then it's going to ask me for the corrective action details, so I can take corrective action and take a picture of it, and I can actually assign it to someone as well, and they will get it automatically then, the details of that corrective action. This is the audit schedule, so not only is the audit schedule available on the platform, it's available on the tablet device as well. The corrective actions then, once corrective actions are created, then the user can actually go in and using the tablet to sort of assign or create, mark them as complete, and once they're marking them as complete, then they can capture a second photograph to do so, which is obviously great to show an auditor that there was a corrective action shown, and then there is a corrective action resolution with an updated photograph. And then we have the BRC self-assessment templates, and this is where you would actually access any one of the templates and be able to do that self-assessment. You can see the food standard there and the packaging standard ready to be run. And then this is just a statement like this is the BRC Global Standard for Food Safety Issue 7. This is very similar to your internal audits, where you would run your own internal audits and capture all of your corrective actions as you do so. And then on the enterprise side of things, this is the enterprise platform. Where you would have your audit manager, which I'm just after showing you, and then you've got your learning manager. So on the tablet device, you can actually get access to the full matrix, capture trainee sign off on SOPs and documents. You can get access to the documents themselves and be able to stream them down to the tablet device and view them on the tablet device. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you can actually do performance manager reviews as well on the actual tablet device. So what we've got. Just to close off, hopefully this morning has given you a quick run through. The purpose of today was to give you a quick run through for over 30 minutes of the supplier control section. So what we'd like to do now is take a few questions. I think there's a few questions actually come in from the audience or from the attendees here this morning. There's a few, so I unfortunately will not get to them all, but we'll just try to grab and run through a couple of them. One here is, can you explain the BRC manager versions more, the different versions? Okay, so I think the easiest way to explain this is that there's 3 versions of BRC Manager. There's the BRC Manager Auditing Edition, which gives you all of your supplier control and gives you the full auditing feature, the internal templates, and it gives you the Audit Manager module of the platform. There's the BRC Manager Learning Edition, which is focused primarily on the document and learning management side of things, where you get your learning management and your document management, and we also include the performance management module in there as well. And then we have the Enterprise Edition, where you have the auditing and the full edition. Okay, so hopefully that's answered that question. There's more information on the involvedgroup.com website. All of our products are outlined there, and all of the pricing packages are outlined on our website. So it's www.involvedgroup.com, and you can actually get access to all of the information there. User licenses. There's a question here in relation to user licenses. How much does it cost for supplier access? Our pricing doesn't charge for supplier access. The only charge for the platform is the people within your own organization that are logging in and getting access to the platform. So there's an unlimited number of users that you can set up for supplier access. Can suppliers get access to your site compliance training if need be? This has actually come up before, where an enterprise customer has got a supplier and there is a particular program that this may be required that all contractors and anyone that's supplying the site also has to do. So you can actually do that as well, because once you have your supplier set up within the platform, then you can add any training course to them, and when they log in to the platform, they will not only see the corrective actions that's required of them, they'll not only just see the documentation that's required of them, they'll also see the training courses that may be assigned to them. And if you've assigned one of the e-learning courses that's available on the platform, they'll be able to launch that course immediately from that. Okay, and we have one more question, I think. This is from Miguel, and it says, can a supplier change user interface to suit them, i.e. in France to suit French? Miguel, that is something we're working on. In the platform itself, if I just flick back, it may have logged me out here at the moment, but in the platform, we've actually got an ability where a user can change the skin of the platform. So I can look here and change this here to a silk skin. Right now, it's changing the UI design, but we are working on an ability to be able to change the language skills there, or the language that is displayed to a particular client. So if a client is requiring a particular language and it's something that they want to have in the platform, we'd be delighted to have that conversation with you, but it is something the team are investigating, and that we hope to be able to in the next release is give the ability to select the language. Obviously, what we would need to do is we need to be selective on the language, so that there would need to be a customer demand for a particular language on that as well. So I'll just flick back to the sunset skin, which is the one that I prefer the best. I have another question. Can you quickly show how compliant works? I'm not actually quite sure what that actually means, Miguel, but what I would suggest in that is that Pauline can actually follow up with you directly after the webinar, and you can explain a little bit more to her what exactly you mean by that question. And bear in mind, guys, as well, we have a trial account process here, so if you like what you've seen here and if you think that it could add value to your organization, there's a no-cost trial where we can set you up with a trial account, set you up and give you a little bit of training on it. You can download the app and you can have a play around, and you can have a look at it that way. So hopefully that's given you a quick overview of the platform as a whole, with a specific focus on the supplier control aspect, and Pauline will follow up with you all directly after the webinar with a view of maybe the next step to see where you'd like to go from here. But all that's left for me is to thank you for taking the time this morning, and we hope you enjoyed the session and learned a little bit about the supplier control in BRC Manager. Okay, take care. Bye now.